If the war is over, I have a simple question. Who won?
First of all, epic fury is over, which is what you would consider the war. That operation is
So you agree
concluded.
it's a war, then?
No, those are hostilities. They called it a war. I'm just responding to the Senator
Mr. Secretary, you can change the name of the operation. It doesn't change the fact that the strait is still closed and my service members and all of our service members are still in harm's way. The war is not over. But I'm agreeing with you. Okay, fine. We're taking you at your word. The war is over. Who won?
Sara Jacobs is a Democratic congresswoman representing San Diego. Her district is home to more than 2,500 service members and their families, some of them still stationed off the coast of Iran. When she sat across from Secretary of State Marco Rubio on June 3rd, she had one sentence in hand. A sentence he'd said in the Senate just one day earlier. The war is over. Jacobs took that sentence and handed it right back to him, wrapped around a single question. What looked like a simple question was about to put the Secretary's own definition of victory face-to-face with the intelligence community's own numbers. And it wasn't going to end with the war. Let's watch what happened when he tried to answer it.
Told Senator Booker that the war in Iran is over. This is news to me. It's also news to my 2,500 constituents, Marines, San Diego Marines in the Middle East off the coast of Iran, the other of my constituents who are deployed there, and the thousands more of my constituents who have 48-hour deployment notices whose families are still very concerned. But okay, I will take you at your word. If the war is over, I have a simple question. Who won?
First of all, epic fury is over, which is what you would consider the war. That operation is
So you agree
concluded.
it's a war, then?
No, those are hostilities. They called it a war. I'm just responding to the Senator
Mr. Secretary, you can change the name of the operation. It doesn't change the fact that the strait is still closed and my service members and all of our service members are still in harm's way. The war is not over. But I'm agreeing with you. Okay, fine. We're taking you at your word. The war is over. Who won?
Well, first of all, you're not taking me at my word. It's a fact. We're no longer conducting sustained strikes inside of Iran to degrade their military because epic fury is over. The second point is on the question of who won, I can tell you this. We defined victory as destroying their defense industrial base, significantly reducing the number of missile launchers that they possess, significantly reducing their stockpile of drones. And we achieved all of those in addition to destroying what they had left of an air force and wiping out their entire conventional navy. Those are all gone. So I consider that victory, and we did too, and that was the purpose of epic fury.
Okay, well...
Let's stop here for a moment. Rubio just defined victory using three criteria of his own choosing: missile launchers, drone stockpiles, defense industrial infrastructure. But so far, none of the numbers he cited have been measured against publicly available intelligence. Jacobs, on the other hand, came in with three things: the intelligence community's own assessment, American casualty figures, and the economic cost of the war. Now watch what happens when the Secretary's definition of victory is placed next to that data.
Well, good. Based on the metrics that you just said, okay, there's actually, our intelligence community has said that Iran is reconstituting its military industrial base faster than we had predicted, and analysts assess it still holds roughly 70% of its missile stockpile and 70% of its mobile launchers. The Strait of Hormuz was open before the war. It is now closed. We have lost 14 brave American service members. Over 400 are injured. And the Iranian regime remains largely intact, but now with a more hardline leader who has more incentive to try and get a nuclear weapon. So I guess I have to ask you again, Mr. Secretary, does this actually look like winning or losing to you?
Well, first of all, I don't know what intelligence assessments you're referring to. We wouldn't discuss intelligence assessments if they were real.
These have been publicly reported.
Well, if they're publicly reported, someone committed a crime, and by the way, is also lying. And this happens all the time. People manipulate intelligence and analysis for purposes of furthering a narrative. On your point about the regime is actually deeply fractured, which is why it takes 7 to 10 days to get an answer from them for anything. Meanwhile, they
fractured, but still intact.
Well, intact in the sense they can't even reach agreements that they can get back to us. So I don't know how intact that is. What they have is people that are afraid to go into the streets. Their repressive operations have held people back, in addition to the fact they've cut off the internet. But this is a country right now, and this regime that is facing hyperinflation, a completely devalued currency, hundreds of billions of dollars in damage to their military infrastructure, and frankly, all of the pre-existing problems that Iran had in their economy, which is why people were protesting, are worse. not better.
Sure,
and
but
they have to deal with that too.
Mr. Secretary, so you're saying we're winning because the Iranian economy has inflation, it's cost them millions of dollars a day in lost revenue, and because it's going to cost them billions of dollars to rebuild. Well, we are having inflation. It's already cost us an estimated $100 billion. Gas prices are up with no end in sight. The average family is paying an extra $450 on gas and could pay an extra $2,000 by the end of the year. The American people are not stupid, Mr. Secretary. We all know that this war is not over. Just last night, the U.S. and Iran exchanged fire again, this time over Karg Island. We still have not reached a deal, despite the president's promise that a deal is right around the corner. The president even said today the blockade could last until Labor Day. It's now day 97 of the war that the president said he wanted to end quickly. So I have one last question for you. Mr. Secretary, who won the 2020 presidential election?
I'm not here to answer a question. We're talking about 2020. This is a foreign affairs committee.
Okay, great. You can't answer the question,
No,
even though we all know that President Biden won.
I don't answer the question because as Secretary of State, I do not participate in domestic political issues.
This is not about domestic political issues.
Certainly
This is about our democracy.
You're asking me to opine, just like I don't do campaign
It
rallies.
seems like
I don't do because as Secretary of State, we're not supposed to. That's been the long tradition of the department, and you should know that if you've been on this committee for any period of time.
Mr. Secretary, it seems like you have an issue admitting facts. You can't say that the president lost the 2020 election, just like you won't admit President Trump is losing this reckless war of choice, and just like you couldn't admit that the shoes the president bought you were too big. You clearly don't know what winning means, and not because the facts are unclear to you, it's because telling the truth would cost you your job, and the American people are entitled to a Secretary of State who tells them the truth even when the president doesn't want to hear it, and my constituents, our service members, deserve better. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Hey everyone, quick pause in the video. This channel's growth is entirely thanks to your support. Subscribe, like, comment. That's what lets me keep making this content. Now let's get back to it. What we're watching here is how a single word gets avoided. Before Rubio would use the word victory, he redefined it using his own set of criteria. Missile launchers, drone stockpiles, defense industrial infrastructure. Those are real metrics, but none of them were presented alongside the intelligence community's own publicly available data. Jacobs took that definition and tested it against exactly that data. 70% of the missile stockpile, 70% of the mobile launchers, a closed strait, 14 dead service members, over 400 injured. The Secretary's only response was to question the source of those numbers, not their substance. That's a pattern that repeated throughout the hearing. It happened again when the economic cost came up. When Jacobs read out the $450 added gas cost, the projected $2,000 by year's end, the Secretary didn't dispute the figures. He just shifted the frame. The same pattern of avoidance repeated once more when the question turned to 2020. Instead of a direct answer to a direct question, a procedural justification came instead. 3 different questions, 3 different topics, but the same single move each time. Instead of directly meeting the number, the claim, or the question, shift the ground underneath it. Here's why that matters. When a cabinet official's definition of victory in front of Congress is bound only by the criteria that official chooses, oversight loses its function. Congress's power to ask only means something when the answers it gets can be measured against independent data. That measurement happened here, as Senate says, and the definition didn't hold up. The question Sara Jacobs asked at the start is still sitting there. Who won? This is now part of the permanent record of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. The question of who won is still unanswered. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. I'm building this channel to make these hearings, these questions, and this record visible. And I can only do that with your support. See you at the next hearing.